Hey there, I'm Sarah McLaughlin. Thanks for joining me on the Chaos to Calm podcast, a podcast designed for women over 40 who think that changing hormones might be messing with their mood, metabolism, and energy, and want to change that in a healthy, sustainable, and permanent way. Each episode will explore topics related to health and wellness for women in their 40s, like what the heck is happening to your hormones, what to do about it with nutrition, lifestyle, and stress management, and inspiring conversations with guests sharing their insights and tips on how to live your best life in your 40s and beyond. So, if you're feeling like you're in the midst of a hormonal storm and don't want perimenopause to be horrific, then join me on Chaos to Calm as I share with you how to make it to menopause without it wrecking your relationships and life. Hello, and welcome to the Chaos to Calm podcast, where we discuss how to master the chaos of your changing hormones, mood, metabolism, and energy in your 40s and beyond. I'm Sarah, the perimenopause naturopath, your host, and today in episode number 12, we will dive into the topic of low energy levels, and we're going to explore 8 of the biggest reasons that I see behind it with my clients in their 40s and beyond and perimenopause. So, if you are constantly exhausted and looking for ways to regain your energy, then, my friend, this episode is for you. I mean, how often do you feel exhausted or tired? When was the last time that you woke up and you thought, yeah, I'm ready for this day, feeling fresh, feeling zippy? I don't know if you're like me, but I talk to a lot of women and they are all like how I used to feel in the depths of perimenopause before I discovered and created my program, The Chaos to Calm Method. Of course, I was my first guinea pig. That I could not remember the last time I had felt good. You know, when someone asks you, hey, how you going? And you're like, yeah, good or great. And it's just a standard reply, not actually how you're feeling. When was the last time you could answer that honestly? Well, for me, I was like back in my 20s thinking about the answer to that question. That is too long between feeling great. So this episode is for you. If you have felt that way too, this is the one you need to listen to. Share it with your friends because I'm guessing that their permanent state is exhausted pigeon. Hopefully you've seen that meme on the internet to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you don't have to feel constantly exhausted and, using those stimulants, alcohol, sugar, coffee, to get you going, to keep you going through the day. There's so much more that we can do. By now, I hope you know that my approach is always to try and find out what is underlying. What is the reason for this fatigue? All of these things, recently we've talked about heavy bleeding. I've told you about the other 10 common symptoms that I see in women in perimenopause. Always, I'm telling you, we need to find out what's underlying. And this is no different. Low energy, it's again a symptom. It isn't the answer. Is that what I'm looking for? It is a sign, a flag, a message from your body that something is out of balance. I always think of that Deepak Chopra quote, hormones get out of balance when life is out of balance. What a lovely segue into reason number 1. So reason number 1 for your energy being low is your hormones are out of whack. Well, duh, it's perimenopause, Sarah. Natural fluctuations. Of course, I have my hormones out of whack, and that's what it feels like for sure. But it is a natural, normal process going through its motions that it needs to. But if your hormones were out of balance leading into perimenopause, it's going to shine that big old spotlight on it and make it worse. So yeah, we have that estrogen roller coaster. It doesn't go away quietly. It likes to go higher than high and lower than low. And so it does impact your daily energy levels. It impacts your blood glucose, your insulin sensitivity, and it impacts your sleep as well, because as progesterone is lowering, progesterone is so many things to us, one of them being really beneficial for helping us sleep and stay asleep. So as that declines and estrogen's doing its wiggity whack roller coaster thing, going higher than high, we can get that big gap between it, and it can impact your energy levels. So studies have shown, say, for example, that lower estrogen can impair the function of your mitochondria. They are the energy factories in your cell. Each and every cell has varying numbers of mitochondria. This little fun fact, it blows my mind thinking about it. Some of your cells can contain thousands and thousands of mitochondria. How amazing is that? Our cells are tiny and they have like thousands of these energy factories in them, like your heart muscle cells. They have thousands of mitochondria. We want them to be making lots of energy and keep going, of course. But lower estrogen can impair the function of your little energy factories and contribute to fatigue. And also, estrogen and progesterone influence, so they influence your energy metabolism via mitochondria. They influence your neurotransmitter activity and your overall cellular function. Our cells are very dependent and addicted to estrogen. So as it changes and can, go low or really low, it impacts how you feel for sure. So, for example, neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, they're involved in your mood regulation. Dopamine particularly is your motivation and mojo chemical. So a lower estrogen can and disrupt that neurotransmitter balance and contribute to you feeling flat and tired. So it's like a different, there's a physical exhaustion when you have had a big day. I know maybe you've done a massive hike or done lots of gardening, physical activity. That exhaustion's normal. I should have said this at the start. Anyway, that kind of level of exhaustion, yeah, that's normal. But I'm talking about that flatness, lethargy, fatigue that comes from you haven't done those things because you just don't have the energy for them to start with. But so it's like that. There's no easy physical reason for that fatigue. So not forgetting as well when I'm talking hormones, it's not necessarily just estrogen and progesterone. We're talking about things like insulin as well. And when you're in that fat storage mode, insulin resistance, you can feel really tired too because there's heaps of glucose circulating in your bloodstream, but it's not getting into the cells for them to use to make energy. And lower estrogen impacts insulin sensitivity, reduces it. So thinking about your hormones and not just accepting that, oh yeah, okay, I'm in perimenopause, my hormones are changing and fluctuating, so I can't do anything about it. You totally can. Absolutely. And we've talked about it many times before as well, but a reminder, you can go back to those earlier episodes on estrogen and progesterone for lots of tips on how to support your body to help metabolize and keep good levels of those hormones in your body. All right, let's move on to reason number 2. Your thyroid has checked out. So another really common hormone imbalance in your 40s and perimenopause is low thyroid hormones. We get little thyroid pause to go along with our perimenopause and menopause. So, and often that can be an autoimmune condition as well. They're like Hashimoto's. You might have heard of that. So it's really prevalent to have an actual thyroid condition, but also what's really prevalent is a subclinical hypothyroid. So your markers of your thyroid function are not out of range enough for, say, the GP to say, oh yes, Sarah, you do have a problem here, and here's a medication to try and fix it. But it can be impacting how you feel. So we have 3 main thyroid hormones: the thyroid stimulating hormone that comes from our brain to our thyroid to tell it to, okay, giddy up. And then we have the thyroid hormones themselves. We have the storage version thyroxine, that's T4, and triiodothyronine, T3. Now, they play a really critical role in regulating your metabolism and your energy. Hormonal imbalances like low thyroid hormone levels or Hashimoto's or low nutrient building blocks for those hormones can leave you feeling really tired and lethargic and brain foggy and all sorts of things there as well. So find it really hard to get up off the couch and to think through what you have to do in the days. And it's really common, as I said, for your thyroid to have a little pause in perimenopause. So it's important to get more than just TSH done, because your TSH can be normal, but your T4 and your T3 might be depressed at that subclinical level, which has very real side effects in terms of weight and thinking and doing and energy as well. So I just mentioned their nutrients. So that's reason number 3, being low in those key nutrients for energy production and support in the body. So iron is one that you might be familiar with. There's also your B vitamins, particularly B12, magnesium, and vitamin D. They're really important for your energy production and many other functions in your body there as well. So regular blood tests will help you identify any nutrient deficiencies. And again, normal ranges, not so good for telling you or helping you get on top of things before it's an actual problem. So maybe you want to take your blood test results to someone like me, a naturopath who looks at your bloods from a functional perspective and using ranges that are optimal for women's health. So when things fall out of that optimal range, it gives us the opportunity for preventative care. We can do something before it becomes a problem. So yeah, if it's been a while since your last blood test, this is your reminder. Go get them done. And if you want to get them implemented for you, have some really extensive and thorough blood tests done and perhaps your own personalized nutrition plan in place, then don't forget you can reach out and let me know and I can help you find out more about how to do that. Reason number 4, we're going back to basics. You're dehydrated. Yeah, so many people not drinking enough water that I actually wrote a whole blog on it. How hilarious. And as you know, you don't have to be super dehydrated for it to impact how you're feeling. Some of the side effects of not enough water is poor concentration, impaired memory, fatigue, and brain fog. So filtered water, herbal teas, avoiding caffeinated drinks is going to help you keep your hydration levels up. And if you're feeling tired and flat, just go have a glass of water and see what difference it might make for you. And start your day with some water. It's a really great way to start your day and start getting that water intake in. So we're looking for 35 mils of water per kilogram of your body weight per day. So, oh gosh, I should have done maths beforehand. Let's just say if you're 70 kilos, it's going to be around about 2.5 litres per day. You can get your little calculator on your phone and work that out, I'm sure. Now, reason number 5, 0 downtime. So you're always busy, always on the go, always rushing from one task to the next. That is really peaking your stress levels and saps your energy. So when you are having little downtime, and let's face it, we live in a 24/7 society. We're on call and things are happening, information's coming into our brains from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we shut them at night. And then, you think, oh, I've got to this, and this, and this. So you use coffee to wake you up and keep you going during the day. You're using alcohol to wind down and, seeking those quick, ultra processed food-like things for a hit of energy. Think like the sweets and sugary things. But these all add extra stress to your body as well. So it's and contribute to things like insulin resistance, and they're going to flog your energy and leave you more exhausted as well. Adrenaline and cortisol, our stress response hormones, give us that perk and have us sort of hyper vigilant or more alert in the short term, but in the long term, they're actually really depleting and lead to more energy there as well. So having, schedule some quiet time into your day and your week, even if it's only 5 minutes and a hot cup of tea, herbal tea, hopefully, to help increase your hydration. It's something, that few minutes when you get home, the few minutes when you get home and you sit in your car for a quiet moment, close your eyes and let your mind rest. Snatch all those little pockets of the day. They will add up and help with something. It's all those little basics. But really, always reassessing, looking at your schedule, at your kid's schedule, and what that means for you, and trying to give yourself some quiet and downtime. For your hormonal health and balance, you do need some. So let's touch on sleep, because sleep is really important for giving your brain and body that downtime and rest. It gives your body the opportunity to recover from the day and to get your nervous system out of fight or flight mode, which is also tricky, fully acknowledging that you can have poor sleep quality in perimenopause, and that you might be going to bed at a reasonable time and giving yourself a good shot at 7 to 8 hours sleep each night, but the quality of your sleep might be lacking, and that can definitely happen in perimenopause there as well. So things like taking a long time to fall asleep. Maybe you're waking up a lot at night, and then you can't get back to sleep, or it takes ages to get back to sleep. And having that really light sleep. Now, this light sleep totally happens if you have been using alcohol to help you wind down at night. You might go to sleep really quickly, huzzah, but you are having that really light, dozy, cruddy sleep that's like you have weird dreams, and it's kind of like you're just dozing. Well, that is the interplay of alcohol and one of your neurotransmitters, histamine, and estrogen exacerbates that histamine and can produce alcohol intolerance, which I will talk about in another episode. But for now, just know that while alcohol may help you feel like you're relaxing and going to sleep easier, it's really not helping the quality of your sleep. And that's why you can wake up feeling rubbish the next day, feeling really tired. So poor sleep, whether it's, poor quality or just not enough of it, maybe staying up too late, doing your death scroll on Netflix or socials, it really has significant effects. And it's one of the key things that you can do to help your body adjust to changing hormones and help support hormone balance in your body is sleep. So just go to bed. Now, number 7, your body is inflamed. So this can get super technical. I'm going to keep it light and easy here. Chronic inflammation, which is that chronic immune response. Inflammation is an immune response. It's chronic when it's switched on all the time. We want inflammation on sometimes to help us resolve an infection or sprained ankle or something like that. But when it's constantly switched on, it can be an issue. A silent issue. You may not even realize you're inflamed, but it is producing symptoms in your bodies. And one of those is low energy levels, because research tells us that inflammation can be a direct cause of fatigue. Inflammation as an immune response is very nutrient demanding. So the longer that inflammation goes on, the more nutrients your body is using up in your inflammatory processes. It impacts your thyroid, impacts your other hormones, your sleep. It's a flow-on effect, because our systems and parts of our body are not solo islands. They are all interconnected and interrelated. So number 8, you're putting yourself last. And if you have a think, when was the last time that you were actually at the top of the list, above your partner, kids, friends, family, work? Yeah, I bet it's been a while. And look, to be honest, I thought as my kids got older, I'd be like, woohoo, Energizer Bunny each day, because I thought, well, they'll be sleeping through the night. My sleep won't be interrupted, blah, blah, blah. I'll be great. And then I got into my early to mid 40s, and that was happening. I wasn't breastfeeding anymore. My kids were sleeping in their own beds and through the night. But like I was feeling worse. I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm an old woman. I can't walk around. I'd be so stiff and sore, and actually would feel like maybe I hadn't gone to bed. You know, when like sometimes you wake up and you're like, did I even sleep? Because I feel worse than what I did before I went to bed. I know you well maybe, because lots of women tell me similar when we talk on discovery calls. But there's something really important to know, and that is like you can be in your 40s and perimenopause or menopause and have energy. Absolutely. You aren't old. You do not need to put up with these things and these symptoms, even though they're common, and you might hear lots of people telling you that they have them and that's normal because you're in perimenopause. They 100% do not need to be your normal. So putting your health and yourself at the top of the list is absolutely necessary here, and it does impact your energy, and you will be able to show up as a better mum, lover, daughter, sister, friend, employee, or whatever those roles are that you have in life. When you do that, you will be able to show up in the way that you want to. I know I say it a lot, but stress and busyness really is the biggest blocker to your health and happiness and weight loss in your 40s and beyond as well. It's your busiest phase of life, but your stress resilience hormone progesterone is declining. And busyness is stress. You must look after yourself. It's like when you hop on a plane and they literally tell you to look after yourself first. If in case of emergency, put your oxygen mask on first. But we don't translate that to off the plane, which is interesting. And I know it's a lot of social conditioning around how we should show up as a mother, but it makes sense to look after yourself, because how can you keep looking after other people and doing all those things that you're expected as part of being a modern mum or woman? Well, you can't, because, you're burnt out. And one more thing I want to add here is that if as we move through to menopause, our Mother Nature, our bodies have evolved to have us covered. We have those adrenal glands that sit atop our kidneys, and they help make some estrogen in the absence of our ovaries doing that. But if you spend the 10 years before perimenopause or before menopause burning out your adrenal glands by being too busy and too stressed and doing too much, your transition is going to be ugly. Sorry, it is. It's going to be full of flushes and sweats and fatigue and all the things. So it's super important to avoid that, or to address it and help your body resolve it. Chronic stress, which is, it's really often associated with those hormonal imbalances. I've talked about it a lot in the past episodes there as well. It can lead to, people call it adrenal fatigue, but it's known scientifically as hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis dysfunction. Burnout. Mum burnout is real. There's like studies on mum burnout. The adrenal glands under chronic stress, they can struggle to produce adequate levels of cortisol and adrenaline, and that helps regulate your energy and your stress response. So that adrenal fatigue, or that HPA axis dysfunction, can manifest as persistent fatigue, even if you've got sufficient rest. And it impacts those other hormones, as I said earlier. An imbalance in one area impacts the others in terms of your thyroid and your ovaries. So you really do need to prioritize your health and well-being for the good of you, but the good of those around you that rely on you. And it's especially so in perimenopause, because it is a fork in the road. You get to choose how you feel now, but also how you're going to feel in the long term. And if you keep being like an ostrich, sticking your head in the sand and ignoring the flags that your body is telling you, it's going to get worse. You're going to get all of the perimenopause symptoms. So have a look at what your body is telling you. Tune into it. Don't forget, I've got my perimenopause decoder. That's a freebie you can download. The link is in the show notes. and work out which of your symptoms might be perimenopause related, what phase that you're in, and also alongside that is my other freebie, my meal formula to help you work on the food and work on what you can do about it there as well. So all is not lost. It's never too late. Remember that. It's never too late. But prioritizing your health is essential so that you can show up as the best version of yourself, for those that depend on you there as well. So those are the 8 big reasons for low energy levels that I see with my clients. So thinking about hormone, your hormone balance, particularly your thyroid, insulin, nutrient levels, water, and sleep. And then those more mental and emotional things. There's downtime, supporting your nervous system, stress levels, always thinking about those things as well. And inflammation, I forgot there too. So exhaustion, it's really common, unfortunately, in our society, but please don't put up with it. There is something out of balance that needs to be addressed, and let's address it before it turns into something else more sinister. You're very welcome to book in for a free discovery call with me to talk through what you can do about these things and how you can support and nourish yourself, mind, body, and spirit. We do need a holistic approach to our health, I think. And we can, taking a pill or just taking some supplements or herbs or whatever is not going to address the full underlying cause, which is often that level of busyness. So this episode, I challenge you to have a reflect and a review and think about where can you stick some little pockets of downtime for yourself, some quiet moments. Maybe you might listen to a 5-minute meditation before you go to sleep or at some time during the day. Or take the moment that you have in the car when you arrive home before you go inside and start on the next job. And let's have a think about too that it is okay to not have every minute of every day being productive. That rest is undervalued by our society and is super important for you to be able to show up and to feel good and have energy. Rest is where your body repairs and restores and works on supporting your body so you can show up the next day. So thinking about that, where you can add some little moments of quiet and rest into your day, and coming to terms with the idea that you don't have to be productive, whatever that might mean, all of your day. So until the next episode, I'm Sarah, the perimenopause naturopath, reminding you that perimenopause does not have to be horrific, that you don't have to accept all of these symptoms as your new normal. There's lots to be done. And thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And I look forward to talking in our next episode. It's really common for women over 40 to experience the chaos of changing hormones, mood, metabolism, and energy. But I hope you know now that common doesn't have to equal normal for you or them. You can help others understand they aren't alone in feeling this way and that perimenopause doesn't have to be horrific by subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing this podcast with other women in their 40s and beyond. Thanks so much for listening and sharing your time with me today in this Chaos to Calm conversation.